This morning, gentlemen, or this afternoon, excuse me. Yes, we are live. We're going to have a good time today. And also, too, before we jump in, I'm going to put, for those that are going to be jumping into the chat, just a few of you in there now. Okay, so there's a new website that has been created, which I found out about this morning. I was so happy and excited to talk about this today briefly. I'm going to put the link to the website into the chat. This website is really cool because if you're in basically any state, for the most part, where we have our meetups, they are live and correct, and you can check on the map, and it shows you where these meetups are happening, up and coming meetups, and it's updated every single day by our wonderful Victoria. And so I'm going to put that link in the chat while this amazing Q&A is going to be happening. So today we have our amazing host, as always, Miss Kathy Craig. Miss Kathy, how are we doing?
I'm good. How are you guys? So happy to be here, as always. Thank you.
As always. And we have two awesome rock star guests. They're killing it. They're from the community. Guys, we want you to harass them. Their IGs is right there on their names, okay? My man Marcelo and Wesley. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Excellent.
Great, Derek.
Good. Good to see you guys, So, Wesley, we're going to get Marcelo to be on our team. We're going to get him to shave his head, and then we'll have a conversation about this moving forward. But in the meantime,
I'm not joining that team. Sorry, I'm not joining it.
No doubt. We love you, Kathy. Your hair looks fabulous. So, without any further ado, they're going to jump into this wonderful Q&A. Guys, I'm taking notes in the background. You guys have a good one.
You got it. Hi, guys. How are you? So
Hello,
great
Kathy.
to meet you. My name is Kathy Craig. I am in Gator Elite. Like you guys, I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I still do have a day job as the executive director of a nonprofit in Southern California. But before we get started, I do want to really thank the Pace Morby amazing team behind the scenes, keeping us all organized, which is Taya and Derek. And I know there's a lot more that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, but the media team is amazing. So thank you guys in the background. We appreciate you. So, let's get started. I have not met you guys, and I'm really, really happy to hear your story and learn about you two rockstar sub twos. So Wesley, I'm going to let you start and, give us the scoop. And then I got a few questions I'll ask you.
Sure. Sounds great, Kathy. Thanks for putting this together and joining us today. So my name is Wes Thompson. I'm a real estate investor, obviously. The market I predominantly work in is around Chattanooga, Tennessee. I live outside of Washington, D.C. Recently retired from the Army after 22 years and some change of service. And did this deal with Marcelo as my TC. This is the second deal that we've worked on together. He keeps all of my paperwork in line, him and the rest of the team over at Creative TC. And so just glad that he could be here to join us as well.
Well, thank you for your service, number one. Very, very much appreciate and respect all that you do to keep us safe and for our country. So thank you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you. And Marcelo, let's hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I run Creative TC, of course, with Caleb Christopher. So he's the founder. I run the company with the team. Everyone's a big fan of Caleb, so he does a great job.
I met him at Squad Up. What a great guy. Yes.
Absolutely. And so I've been in real estate for a good while. I mean, probably close to 10 years on and off. And Caleb and I met each other at Sub 2. Probably the first day when I first signed up, I went to do my avatar and I saw that Caleb was training. I reached out to him, hey, I'd love to get a chance to work with you. I think this is definitely my avatar. Would love to lock arms and make this something huge. So that was about 2 years ago now. And so, yeah.
I love it. Nothing like, seeing somebody in the chat. I used to be a big stalker. I would kind of hop on Zooms and stalk, and I'm like, oh, yeah, we will align and let's go. I love that you did that. That is fantastic. So how did the two of you guys connect?
So we connected when I did my first deal in Chattanooga after joining the Sub 2 community. Said, hey, I need a TC to help me get this across the line. And knowing that all the value that Caleb Christopher brought to the community, said, hey, I'm going to look into using his company. So I called for a consultation, got set up with Marcelo, and it's been off to the races since there. So I've done 2 deals to put properties in my own portfolio, used them both times. I text him at weird hours with questions and email him at even weirder hours with questions that I might have. So he keeps me in line and keeps me sane and, helps me get everything across the finish line.
That's awesome. You need that kind of partner in crime where you just have that moment in the middle of the night. You're like, oh, I just need to share. And, Marcelo's it at this point. That's awesome.
Yeah. Or I have a question about something and anything.
Absolutely.
No matter how random it is, I know that it's probably something that he and the crew over there at Creative TC have already dealt with. So I use them as my real estate library of what do I do when I hit that hurdle and I'm not exactly sure how to overcome it.
Absolutely. They're your wingman, your wing company per se. I love it. Everybody's got to have that wingman or woman. So tell me about the deal, because I am not in sub 2. So I always love hearing the stories of how properties were acquired and how, the impact that the sub 2 community is really making on people's lives and helping them, be solution based and solve problems, and everybody wins in the end. So tell me about your rock star deal.
Sure. So this deal is in McDonald, Tennessee, which is outside of Chattanooga, in between Chattanooga and Cleveland, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And it originally came across my desk from a wholesaler as a seller finance deal. And you don't see too many of those coming from wholesalers.
No.
So I said, okay, well, seller finance deal, I'm going to take a look at it. Local wholesaler there in the Chattanooga area. I've never bought from a wholesaler before, so this was a new adventure for me. But went into it and it wasn't a very good deal. Just kind of looking at the photos, it was definitely going to take some work. Doing some research on the property and everything like that. And I said, well, this is not a good deal. However, I know that there are, as Pace likes to call it, some bunnies, or else this wouldn't be with a wholesaler and it wouldn't be advertised as a seller finance deal. So I reached out to the wholesaler. We built some rapport, talked a lot about the deal. And really it boiled down to several factors of the deal. Too high of a purchase price. It was a 4% interest rate, which was good, but when you're paying significantly more than probably what the property was worth. But really what it came down to was just getting the story of the seller. Why are they selling? We can go into that story if you want to, but the wholesaler asked me, he said, well, if you were, and I don't wholesale, but he asked me and he said, well, if you were doing this deal, how would you structure the deal? And so I told him how I would look at it, knowing the backstory, what the seller is trying to accomplish. I said, this is how I would structure the deal on a seller finance. And this is how I would move it if I was looking at potentially wholesaling this deal. And he said, oh, well, that's really interesting. I never looked at it like that. Thank you, for bringing that to my attention. He then called me the next day and said, hey, I spoke to the seller about what we talked about yesterday. And they said they have no problem structuring the deal that way. Do you know anybody who wants to buy it? I said, yeah, this guy. So
I'm right here. Love that. Well, maybe give us a little bit of the seller story, because I think that will help people to realize that maybe no matter what situation that they're in, and it may resonate with somebody, that there is a way to solve it. There is a way to help them. Mm-hmm. So if you're comfortable, and to what level that you're comfortable sharing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the story with the seller was adopted growing up. But she did know who her birth parents are, and they kept in touch. There wasn't a great relationship there, but it is what it is. And so her birth parents had passed away and left her with a little bit of money. And she decided to use all of that and go buy a house in cash. And so she purchased the house in cash in October of 2023. And now roughly about 6 months later, it's now with this wholesaler for sale. So I was like, there's something interesting going on. So learn from the wholesaler. It sounds like the agent that they worked with kind of took advantage of them as a cash seller. They had never owned a property before. They didn't know the things to look for as potential pitfalls with being an owner, or the cost that comes with capital expenditures, with maintenance, and all those sort of things. So they purchased the home in cash. And then about 6 months later, it was needing some work. They also had several pets that were not kind to the property. And so they realized that, hey, owning this home is probably not the best thing for us financially right now. And so they were looking to get out of it into something that they were renting, to where they could not have to pay those maintenance fees and capital expenditure fees and stuff like that. So they realized that the property was worth a lot less than what they had paid for it in cash. And they didn't want to lose $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 now selling it on a cash deal. So the wholesaler said, well, the best thing to do with that is to put it on seller finance. So you're going to get all of your money back. You're just not going to get it all back at once. And so that made sense to them and that worked for them. The second part about it was they now had no cost for housing. And so if they were getting rid of the property, they were now going to take on the cost of a property or having to pay rent. And they really didn't want to do that. So the wholesaler had structured the financials around the monthly payment you're going to get is going to be what your new cost of living is. So it's at least a wash and they have no cost for their housing. So looking at the deal, I said, okay, well, what I would do if this was me and understanding what the, the problem is that one, they wanted a pretty hefty down payment. And I said, that's at least from what I see, that's probably just not going to be realistic. So what is kind of the money they need at closing so they can move on to the next thing in life and accomplish what it is that they need to accomplish? And what is that monthly payment that they're paying on their new place? And so the wholesaler came back with me with that information. And I said, okay, so now we're talking about less than 10% down payment to the seller. The wholesaler also cut their assignment fee in half of what they were originally asking to get the deal done. And the closing costs in Tennessee were very minimal because there was no bank involved. So all in all, it was about 12.5%, 13% down payment at close on a 0% interest seller finance loan, paying $955 a month. That is all principal with a 10-year balloon.
That is so awesome. That's when maths right there.
Right.
That is amazing. And good for you for just taking a look at the big picture and making sure that they still had somewhere to go. There was very solution based. You walk away with the property and they walk away, with a lot of relief and getting rid of a lot of stress that they were clearly enduring. And that is fantastic. I love that. Well, that's a great story. And then comes in Marcelo right here to finish that deal up.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great. Was it complicated, simple, easy? What'd you feel like? How was it for you?
To be honest, this deal, because Wes knows exactly what he's doing, it was a lot more simple than some of the deals we've been involved in. So, and I guess the biggest thing here is that the seller truly did have a motivation. So a lot of the delays associated with transactions because the seller got into a deal they don't really understand. So we have to re-explain certain aspects of the deal so they understand what next steps look like. But in this case, they were fully on board. So because Wes did a great job, we were able to close this pretty smoothly.
I love that. And can we talk about that wholesaler? I think that he's your new best friend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he definitely is my new best friend.
I love that because he could also see the big picture that, life deals are not one-shot wonders. It's about building relationships, trust. Everybody gives and takes a little bit in order to, solve the problem. And good for him for really stepping up and recognizing that.
And the other thing that was critical to me about bringing in Marcelo and the team over at Creative TC was this was my first deal with a wholesaler. So I didn't know, was their paperwork missing anything? Was there anything in there that I should clue in on, that I should be aware of, that was critical, that might come back to get me later, right? Because it's very easy. Most of all my other deals in the past, I've always done through agents. So we have those relationships. I know those forms. I know how those things look. And so as we worked through this deal, paperwork was constantly changing from the wholesaler side, from our side. And so having somebody with a more experienced lens to look at that, who's working for me directly to criticize, and look at everything and make sure that I'm not going to end up on the bad end of this too. It makes everything so much more comfortable for me.
It's amazing because doing deals with TCs from the community who've been trained to understand the process, it is game changing. It just makes things so much easier. The conversations are better. The protection is better. They know what's going on in the different states and the legal component. And that is true collaboration. I mean, what you guys have done really is just true collaboration. And that's the beauty of this community, is that we can relate to each other. We understand. And I love it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. And it didn't sound like there were too many obstacles that you had to overcome. It really kind of sounds like it was pretty smooth for the most part.
Yeah. I will say there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that wouldn't necessarily say it's what caused delays or were issues. It's just something that's routine for us to look out for. I mean, currently right now we do 50 to 70 transactions a month. So with all those experiences that we've had, we know the red flags to look at and how to address it way up front. And then, and like what we like to do is advocate for clients. So when we're looking at contracts, we're like, okay, have you considered X, Y, and Z? What if situations, worst case scenarios, like these types of things get addressed way early on. So then, at least from a client facing perspective, it's as smooth as possible. While behind the scenes, we're like,
you're sweating, you know, you're like, let me have a drink.
Exactly. You know, deadlines, miscommunication sometimes, or escalations. A lot of that still happens. It's just luckily we knock it out up front so we can hit the closing date on time.
Yeah, I love that. So, you know, because you guys have been in the community for a little bit, it obviously it means the world to you guys. It clearly means to all of us. I mean, PACE has created just the most amazing community. So what does it mean to you? And what would you tell somebody if they said to you, hey, you know, Wes, kind of thinking about it, but not really sure. So what would you tell them if somebody was interested?
Oh, I would say it is worth every dollar that you put into it, right? But it's not a matter of money. It's also a matter of effort. So I'm not someone who's looking to build a real estate business. I'm not going direct to seller. I'm not, or at least not, you know, direct to seller marketing, anything like that. I love working with agents. I love working with wholesalers. Anything that I'm looking to put time and effort into is something that I'm going to put into my personal portfolio, because that's where I am in life right now.
I love it.
But I also know that, you know, and have learned in real estate over the last few years that it doesn't matter if it's commercial or residential, it's a team effort. And the more people that you're working with and utilizing their knowledge and their experience to bring to the table, the more successful you're going to be. So I don't need Marcelo every single month, but I know that when I do need him, he's going to be there and he's going to communicate and he's going to use all of that experience from those 50 to 75 deals that they're doing every month to help me in whatever situation that I'm dealing with. And I never would have found them if I hadn't joined the community. Yeah. I never would have known who Christopher Caleb is or the amount of value and content that he puts out within the community. I never would have found those things. And, you know, it gets to a point now to where if I have a question, whether it's about an acquisition, a disposition, my subject to property in Chattanooga, that was the first one I ever did. I just refinanced it and I got a check in the seller's name for the escrow refund. I'm like, how do I cash a check in somebody else's name? There's Caleb, there's the team with an answer for it that I can go into the private Facebook group and just search for what I'm looking for. And there is always something or someone who has an answer. And it's such an amazing community. And just off of the 2 deals that I bought since I joined in June of last year, I've already got my money back.
Love that.
So,
I mean,
is it worth it? Absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, I love that you say that based on where your real estate goals are, that you may be the type person that wants a couple deals a year, or you may want to be somebody that does 200 deals a year. The community is so open and welcoming to whatever level of business that you want to conduct personally. And everybody's there for you. They're just going to cheerlead for you regardless of that. And I love that.
And having done MLS deals, you know, and used transaction coordinators in the past that were usually provided by the title company, I never thought about how much value they bring to a transaction because they were just regular MLS market deals. Right. But when you get into the creative world, now you need that expertise. You need people with that experience. And at least from what I've seen, if you need to find those people and you need to find them quickly, they're already there in the community. You just have to find them and reach out.
Absolutely. I'm going to Facebook. What do I do? How do I do this? Because I have dumb questions all the time. I own it. I'm too old not to admit my inadequacies. Are you kidding? So I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Marcelo, what about you?
Yeah, I think one of the, I guess, not most commonly good reasons why people should join Sub 2 is actually buying their primary residence. Like me personally, a lot of people that I work with, a lot of clients that are in their 20s and 30s looking for their first home, they buy it Sub 2. I bought my first 2 primary residence Sub 2. I did it with Sub 2 students. I did it on creative financing, from putting into a trust, contract for deed. I've done several different things to make these deals work. And I think, a lot of my clients right now are just looking to buy homes and move and relocate. So that's something interesting. For whatever reason, the last month and a half, that's been the case. I love our clients.
Trying to get out of LA, Kathy? Is that what you're telling us?
Oh, brother. There isn't enough time to talk about the reasons why we should all get out of California. I'm just sure there's not enough time.
Well, if you're coming to Chattanooga, Tennessee, let me know.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I was just looking at Tennessee this morning, kind of within an hour of Nashville, but I love it. I really do. So for you guys, what is the next journey? What is the next phase? What, has this spurred in you, Wesley, maybe opportunities to expand, or have you pretty much, you got your path and your train has left the station and you know where you're going?
Yeah. Yes, but no.
Oh,
So
I like it.
The thing about that is, it's funny because as we're having this call, I'm getting text messages from a friend in Sub 2 who is in Tennessee right now and is looking at a hotel that was a lead that I got from an agent in Knoxville, off market, boutique hotel. That sounds like it could be a very lucrative seller finance opportunity. So I actually spent this past weekend making connections with hotel people near Knoxville, Tennessee, because it sounds like the sellers, they definitely don't want to sell to a hedge fund or a big investment group. And so Adam Catledge, who's a Sub 2 member, big in the community, he's from the area originally. He happens to be in town this week. We linked up at a real estate conference a couple of weeks ago. And so he's going to go meet the sellers and he's going to go check out this hotel, even though he's never done a hotel either. But that's the power of the community, is you have 2 people who have never done something like this before, but also know that we're not going to let that stop us if there's an opportunity.
Absolutely. There's enough resources here. And like I said, that's where my dumb questions come from. And afterwards I'm like, but wait, maybe wasn't so dumb. But 100%. We are just like a walking encyclopedia of this community, which is amazing. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, you have to keep us posted if you kind of now shift to the boutique hotel.
Well, and I've learned my avatar is definitely acquisitions. I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories, and I like finding solutions to problems. I would love to do that, for a team, but I have a W-2. I have a family. I'm very judicious about my free time. So starting my own business is just not something I'm looking to do with my life right now, but I love helping people. I love talking to people. But it's just one of those things that if I only do 1 or 2 deals a year with where I'm at in life, I'm okay with that.
That's okay.
So, yeah.
And, it's important because a lot of people don't know their limitations and they think they can just be all things to all people. So I love that you're very secure in what your direction is. And for right now, you're going to, stick to those boundaries and stick to that plan and not get distracted, or the shiny object syndrome, which we're all guilty of having. But I love that because you're going to be much more successful and you're balancing your time and your life and your family. And that's wonderful. Very impressive. I love that.
Well, and that's also how I learned I do not need to be a top tier transaction coordinator, because that is not the thing for me.
I'm with you. All right, Mr. Let's hear from you. What is your next, clearly you're a rock star in your skill set and what you're doing, but do you want to do some other, components of this business as well? Or you want to grow the business that you have, and how does that look? And, how can people help you with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the primary goal, of course, is to stay focused on the business. We're doing 50 to 70 transactions now, but we'd like to double it. So continue to grow the team. We got 13 full-time employees. They're not VAs, they're not independent contractors, they're full-time employees. So want to grow that team. the systems, all that. So continue to scale. Also, we've put a process, I could say, or a service where we can offer do on sale guarantee. So we've been building that out and helping reduce the risk associated with it. So products, services, more collaborations, more events, traveling, all that is what we have our heads down doing right now.
I love that, because the due on sale part, I'm seeing just a smidge more questions about it in the community. So, you know, it's fantastic that that is something that I'm going to call you an expert in that area, basically, because I think it's really important, especially with all doing these type of creative transactions. So I think that you're going to be an amazing resource for people who all of a sudden start to panic very quickly when they get that. So
Right.
I love that. That's fantastic. Oh, so exciting. And how many more people do you want to add to the team? Or is it just that you want to double your transactions?
I mean, I think it's both. I think they're certainly going to add some more people to help streamline things a little bit better. But ultimately, it's about efficiency. So we don't actually have to double the team size in order to double our capacity. So there's a happy medium between both.
Yeah. Well, as long as your SOP, everything's in place, it kind of becomes streamlined from there, and very, very easy and very normal. You just kind of keep going. Your processes, you just go boom, 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 boom. And it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And having a great team is the most important piece. Like, I think for us that we have the right team. It's just improving our technology, our systems, our softwares, things like that would just help us, put basically a turbo in their engine and keep going further and faster. So
yeah, it's a dream team for sure. And is everybody located in different states or are you centrally located somewhere?
No, we definitely, I mean, even myself, I'm quite a nomad. So we all travel quite a bit.
I want to be a nomad. I love that.
Yeah, we work on Zoom. We have an open office. Our clients can jump in at any time. They can call in. We're available 7 days a week, literally from 7 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, book appointments. Everything is literally available anytime a client needs it.
Except for Wes when he, messages you in the middle of the night. Hey, I got an idea.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that was super beneficial to me and was the first time that I used it was them to just write a contract for me to where I've got a template and I could do it myself. However, it's just, for me, it's worth the money to save the time, to save the headache, and just pay somebody who's more experienced to do it for me. Yeah. Right. And that's where, and know that I'm going to have that turned around in a very short amount of time.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I think, and we're a very fast-paced world in general, and people just, they want it now. And sometimes you have to pay people who are much smarter than you, because it is that penny wise and pound foolish. And I would much rather have it done right, even if it takes an extra day or two, than just, take any shortcuts. Because in the end, everybody loses, including, the other, people who are part of the transaction. So I love it. I think that
and it's a tax write-off. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's not forget about that good old tax write-off that, that we all need for sure. But it's true. I mean, our deals cannot be near as efficient if it wasn't for people like Marcelo. I mean, it just doesn't work. And that's when we get into trouble, and there's no need to get into trouble. You guys, it mitigates it very, very much. And I love that.
If I was doing this on my own, I would probably be in jail right now. So that's where I need Marcelo to keep me on the right track.
Yeah.
And this deal was also the first time I used a note servicer, and they got me all set up with a note servicer, and that has been great. So, it's every single deal. I'm doing something I haven't done before. I'm trying new things, and just knowing that they're there, they communicate well. They're efficient and they're timely with information requests. It's everything that a military guy could ask for. And just like, hey, I would have paid you guys to handle like 3,000 things for me over the last 22 years if I had known that you were this efficient, and the military just would have been a completely different place. But
yeah, it's like, what?
It's not the world we live in. So
no, it's not. I love that. Well, and that's the teamwork component of it too. That is just, it's critical in life. It just really is. And in business, when I reach out to people in the community, we're not competing, we're supporting, and we're helping each other. And that was a really big thing to really recognize in this world, that amazing world that we're in, is that it's not as competitive as it is supportive. You know, everybody's got a little competition in them, but that doesn't overshadow the importance of collaboration, making sure that everybody is safe and secure and doing things the right way.
Yep, absolutely.
And I love that. I think it's fantastic. So where can people find you? I mean, we know Instagram, but what is your preferred method for people to reach out to you, find you, connect with you? What do you guys prefer?
Sure. My Instagram is what I prefer. There's not a ton of content on there. So if you're coming looking for words of wisdom from me or anything like that, the best you're going to see is my cat attacking my feet. So yeah, prepare yourself for that. But that's just, it's great because that is a place where I can just funnel, you know, all of that real estate stuff too. And so that's what works best for me.
That's perfect. And I'm sure it's a great cat, so it's fine.
Yes, he's amazing.
And Marcelo, what about you and your preferred method?
Yeah, I guess my preferred method is just call or text me. You know, if you're on YouTube, you can see my phone number. It's right there for you. That's my cell phone. So call, text me. You can also go to creativetc.io and book an appointment straight from the website. So yeah, available 7 days a week.
That's perfect. And people can connect with you guys on Facebook as well.
Totally.
I would assume that would be okay as well.
Yep,
Oh,
absolutely.
I love it. I think that's so, this community has been life-changing for all of us. There's no doubt. And I really hope that anybody that's on the fence, they could reach out to you or anybody else who's in sub 2, Gator, the top tier. You know, there's so much value that is brought and everybody's go-givers and they want to, you know, I love that that's what we do. We want to help other people and come up with amazing creative solutions. And me as a Gator, I don't know what half of them are. So hearing from you guys is fantastic to hear and to learn like, oh, wait, this actually could work. And really nothing's off the table. You know, has there been any opportunity that has come your way that just didn't work?
Well, I'd have to say the one thing I've learned since joining Sub 2 is that there is nothing that won't work in one way or another. There is always a way to make the deal work as long as everybody wants the deal to work that way, you know?
Yes.
So whether it's a seller finance, a subject to, a Morby method, a lease option, an assignment for deed, whatever it may be, there's always a way to do it. It's just a matter of getting all of the parties involved on making it work the way that it needs to work for an investor like me for it to make sense. Yeah. If I was looking at something as a primary residence, I would probably look at it differently than if I was, you know, an investor. But as an investor, I have to look at things a certain way, especially if I'm considering using other people's money, like a Gator or a private money lender or things like that. I've only used my own money except for one deal, and I'm more cavalier about using my money than I am about using somebody else's, because if I lose my money, then it's a lesson learned. If I lose somebody else's money, now I'm not sleeping at night. So yeah, I have to look at things different ways depending on what it is that, you know, I'm willing to do and the risk I'm willing to take on.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, certainly we learn you always want to use other people's money. That's kind of, you know, what we all try to do. But I do understand your perspective and it does make sense. And for your business model and what you're trying to accomplish, that maybe works better for you. And that's okay. And when you go into these deals, everybody has to be willing to work together, you know, and it really takes collaborative minds to come together. Even the most crazy, outlandish things, there is a way to solve all these problems, but you do have to be open-minded for sure.
Right. And at the end of the day, it's not about solving my problems. It's about solving the seller's problems, right? And bringing a solution that solves those problems. Yeah. And I think if you can do that, then you're always going to find deals that are worth doing something with in one form or another, whether it's wholesaling, whether it's flipping, whether it's holding long-term, doing it on a mortgage wrap, which is something I've been learning a lot about recently. Thanks, Marcelo. So, right. There's always a solution to one, help the seller, but then to two, make it a good deal for you. And that's why I don't want to be one of those people doing 200 deals a year, because I'm not at a place in life where one, I'm comfortable, or two, I'm ready to put that effort into it. And having that self-awareness for me is really good because like you said, it keeps me on the track towards the goals that I want to be at, so that 5 years down the line, when my son is out of the house, my wife and I can leave our jobs, and then maybe I will start one. So
yeah, no, it's, having boundaries is a really, really admirable thing that you have, because a lot of people don't. And there's times, I'm included, I lack in certain areas, but becoming aware and recognizing, going, yeah. I mean, I tell people when I talk to the new Gators, like, well, I want to do this. I said, maybe take a minute and figure out what you don't want to do, because that is just as important as identifying what you do want to do. And they're like, oh, okay. So I'm like, just start it in reverse, reverse mental order, and then move forward. But eliminate things that you don't like. That's okay too.
Yep.
I love
that.
it.
And if I need a fix to where, hey, I want to go hard into real estate, I'll join like the No One Left Behind challenge. And over the course of a week or two, I'll use all of my free time that I have, and I will go hard for somebody else to, create deals and help people who haven't done their first deal yet along the way. And like, great, let's go get it. And then after that week is done, I'm like, I don't need that life every single day for the next 6 to 12 months of my life.
Right. Oh, I love that. I think that's great. And then Marcelo, is there anything, lessons that you've learned that, you could share that would be helpful for people? Any good little nuggets?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would encourage people to buy deals from wholesalers, and ideally you'd have the ability to do repeat business with them. I think wholesalers are great people to work with. There's a lot of professional wholesalers out there that can take great care of you and offer you great deals. But you got to know what you're looking for. So at the very least, I always recommend is that you get a copy of the purchase contract from the wholesaler. It could be, some of the sensitive information, like the seller's contact information, can be blacked out, all that good stuff. But you definitely want to read through the contract and understand what you're getting yourself into. And if it's a good working relationship, then, you'll just be doing more deals with that same wholesaler. But I mean, that's a huge time saver.
Yeah, that's great. So as people are pounding the pavement and on the streets, if they get that information first, that helps to potentially mitigate any problems in the future.
Yeah,
so,
too many people just sign assignment contracts without looking at the purchase contract, and yeah, that's a mistake. So,
well, yeah, people are rushing and they're like, okay, this is fine, let's go. Well, you got to read a little bit of the fine, and I'm guilty of that too. I mean, we've all had contracts that are hundreds of pages, really long, and it's like, oh. But that's where you have somebody like yourself who can really deep dive, and they know what to look for, the buzzwords and the certain, phrases and subsection A, B, C, whatever they are, that you really know what you're looking for.
Exactly. Yep. You just send it our way, and we'll let you know if there's any red flags need to be addressed.
I love that. Oh my, I love this. This is so fun. Everybody ready for the holidays? Can we believe this end of the year? Are you getting ready for your tax strategies? Because it is that time. It is that time right now, which is, I can't believe what happened to the year. But
well, I've been fighting the IRS for the last 7 months as it is. So I just ended that fight. I'm not looking to get into another one.
No, I don't blame you. It was interesting because I was watching the the video that you guys with Ingrid Hernandez as well, who's, she's amazing. But she said something to you about, the executory something, for your own, if you're not using other people's money and using yours. And I thought that was kind of interesting and something to really look into a little bit more. It made a lot of sense. And it was really interesting to hear that, because I was not familiar with that.
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting way to where essentially you're building, bona fides and a reputation by being your own private lender.
Right.
And I think in a way I was already doing that, but to actually formalize it in paper, I think that kind of takes it to another level. And if nothing else, it gives you the opportunity to practice. What does that look like? And how do you set that up? What is the paperwork behind that? Right. And, with pretty much no risk, because you're doing it with yourself. And I thought that was really interesting. And it gave me pause to think about that and actually formalize that relationship with yourself. Right. And kind of that profit first mentality as, oh, now I have to pay myself back first.
Right. I thought that was fascinating. And I know it's not talk to your CPA. It's not legal advice and whatnot, but I just had not heard that term before. And I actually wrote it down in my notes, like, it might be something to really deep dive into a little bit further, because it was really a very brilliant strategy. And I was very grateful to hear that. I'm like, ooh, what is this as we go forward? So I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So how long have you guys been in the community? When did you?
So I joined June 2023.
Okay. Okay. And Marcelo, when did you join?
It's about 2 years ago now. Yeah.
Okay.
Time flies.
And how long? I know time flies. And how long have you been a creative TC? Did you do it from the very beginning?
From the very beginning. That's right.
Yeah. You knew you were going to be kind of that integrator early on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That was exactly the initial conversation I had with Caleb.
Yeah. You're like, okay, this is me. I fit. Let's go.
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, and I think being on his team is amazing. And there's a lot of really amazing rock stars in this community that do it. And I'm sure you guys continue training and updating and following the laws and seeing what's going on, and states are going to be changing things. They change things all the time, but it's so important that to have you who keep up on these things.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the biggest thing between us and other TC companies, is that we operate as a consulting firm that specializes in creative financing. So TC is part of what we do, arguably 40 to 60% of any given deal. The rest of it is consulting and making sure things are done correctly. So yeah, definitely researching, up to date, consulting other attorneys and walking them through what we're working on, reviewing our docs, like all that type of stuff is what we do behind the scenes.
Yeah. And it's, you really do, especially if you're doing things all over the country, you really need somebody who's very dialed into state specific. And I don't know if it really drills down to county or city specific as much as state specific, but yeah, that's a big one, because you can't even keep track,
Yeah. Agreed. It takes a team.
It takes a village for sure. I mean, all the stuff that's happening in California, every day I wake up, I'm like, oh, what's new? What's happening now? What's the new outlaw? What's the new ban?
Yep.
It is hard to keep. And where do you guys live? Where are you guys located? What state?
So I live in Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Okay. And Marcelo, where are you?
I'm based out of San Antonio, Texas.
Ah, I like San Antonio. But you said you're a little bit of a nomad. Do you travel a lot?
Yeah, I'm actually in Indiana right now. I'll be in Ohio in 2 weeks, in Alabama, then Georgia, and then Texas, and then like all over. So yeah, traveling all over.
You're on the road.
Oh yeah. On the regular.
He's a traveling act.
Yeah. So do you go on the road to go look at deals, business training, or you're just enjoy different scenery?
It's mostly for business. Yeah,
Okay.
mostly. I try to, sprinkle in some personal time or family time in between. If I'm driving through a street and I know somebody, I'll stop by for dinner. But other than that, it's really business. Yeah.
Well, and that's the beauty of this business too, is that, you can travel, you can go on the road. Nobody knows, you get it done no matter where you're at, and you get the pleasure and privilege of meeting and going to different meetups across the country. And now your community your team is building potentially.
Yeah.
And that's the best
and
part.
It's a tax write-off.
And it's a tax write-off. That's right. That's the new thing. And it's a tax write-off. It's true. I love that I can go to, if I want to go to North Carolina, there's meetups there, or to Texas, or wherever it is. And, you walk in and just say hi.
Yeah.
Or
Exactly.
Nashville. Yes, that's on the list. My list is growing. But that really is the best part, to go into a meetup and just be like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I don't know anybody, but nice to meet you. And you're welcomed, you're embraced. And that really is another huge benefit of being in this community, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, you have instant connections with people from nothing else than the fact that you're both members of this community.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. And it's just an instant bond that I had no idea what it was going to be like. And it just keeps getting better and better and better. And my best friends are in this community.
Mm-hmm.
There is no doubt. So we're all stuck with each other, which isn't a bad thing.
all stuck with each other.
We're all stuck with each other.
I love that. I love that. How you guys feeling? You guys feeling good?
Feeling great, Derek.
It was great. I learned a lot. I love it. I love it.
I learned a lot as well. Both Wesley and Marcelo, you said some key things. I don't want to keep this going any further, but I do want to touch on the fact that, Wesley, I love when you talked about the fact that, hey, if I do 1 or 2 deals in a year, I'm good. I have a family. I have my act. That's what I'm doing. A lot of times people are thinking when they get into the community, because the community is so contagious and it's like a family reunion and everyone has potlucks and everyone loves each other. It's great. How hard should I go? Am I going hard enough? I'm getting deals done, but it's like, no, your lane, your speed. It's okay. We support that. That's beautiful. And I also like, Marcelo, how you're talking about your team, how you guys are adding to your team. And it sounds like you were like saying, we're looking for the right culture fit because we're efficient. And that's what keeps us going. It reminds me of the team here at Morby Media. Of course, working for Pace is a lot of fun. And when he comes into the office, you know, everyone's like, "Oh, Pace is here. Let's act like we're working, right?" But
put the ping pong table away.
Put it away, unless he wants to play and beat everybody. If he beats you, oh my God, right? I mean, if you lose, if he loses, it's a problem. But yeah, man, that's really cool to see you guys crushing it in your respective lanes. Marcelo, it is so cool to see a TC that is a cool rock star guy. Okay. I'm gonna just say that, man, because all the time it's a woman, you know. It's always a woman that's a TC, and it's like, hey guys, it's cool to be a TC. I'm telling you. And Marcelo is super good looking. He's suave. You can, hey fellas, if you're in the chat, you can be a TC and be a guy, man. So Marcelo, you're killing it, bro. That's awesome, man. That's good.
He's just. I like to say Marcelo is just a reformed lawyer. Like, he loves doing paperwork, and he just found something that he doesn't have to go to college for. That's really
That's good stuff, man. That's so cool. And I envy the traveling, man. Oh my God, the traveling sounds so fun, man. That's really cool. That's really cool. You dig it? You like the travel?
Yeah, totally. It's been a blast. I mean,
that's good stuff, man. So gentlemen, will I be able to see both of you guys at Squad Up this year, March 29th in Dallas, Texas? Will you be there?
Yep, already have my tickets. I'll be there.
Wesley, come on, man. You gonna be there?
I am planning on being there. My good friend Susan Caspers actually gifted me a ticket recently. So unless something comes up, I am planning on being there.
Okay, good, man. Hey, I fell in love with the community because Pace made sure I was at Squad Up. And man, it was so great. It was a wonderful time. And for those in the chat, check this out. If you want to be one of our cool guests on this Q&A live, let me put the email here. We want you to email Taya. She's absolutely fantastic. Okay. You can see her email address there, Taya@pacemurby.com. Shoot Taya an email. Taya, I want to be on the show. I want to be interviewed. I want to be a rock star. I want to be harassed by the community because I put my Instagram up. I need all that. So shoot an email to Taya, and we'll see what we can do. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us and spreading the love and making people feel confident. Last thing I'll say, joining the Sub-2 community, being a top tier TC. I love, Wesley, how you said, made the money back already. A lot of times when we're thinking about, let's say, making this investment into this thing, right? It's not said, but people are saying, how soon can I make my money back? And what's so cool about this community is it's a massive cheat code, or at least that's what I call it. Okay. You have a community, you're not on an island, you're not, and I dare you to go to a meetup. I dare you to go to a meetup because people are going to attack you and love you. You're like, oh my God, okay, I'll drink that, I'll eat that, okay, I'll kiss on the cheek. It's just crazy pandemonium, but you know, it's a way to put some money in your pocket to bless others. It's a good time. But gentlemen, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you so much. Kathy, oh my God.
Thanks, guys.
You're fantastic.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, you too.